Hello, thank you so much for joining me for this shorter yoga practice. This practice will be around 20 minutes, and my focus this week is on bringing yoga back into the body after traveling. So, I have a trip coming up, and every time I travel, I always just feel so kind of blah afterwards. I don't know if it's something about sitting on a plane where you're like crouched and kind of in this like very hunched position where you can't really move a lot. Maybe you're on a road trip taking buses, cabs, and then you finally get to your destination, and all you want to do is like lay on the bed and spread out. And so, this will be a quick yoga practice that you can do to bring some movement back into the body, especially really stretching out our digestive system and our organs and feeling those like big stretches in the arms and legs. So, we're going to start today on our backs, just because laying down always feels good, especially when you're getting off of a plane. So go ahead and come onto your back, hugging the knees in towards the chest. Starting to notice the breath. That's another thing. When we travel, we can sometimes have a lot of stress or anxiety or even just excitement. And so we're not necessarily focused on the breath. And this can be a great way to kind of arrive back in the body. Maybe circle out the ankles, going one way and then the other direction. And then stretch the legs out long, stretch the arms overhead, really lifting the spine off of the mat, stretching through the fingers and the toes, maybe even stretching one side a little bit longer, coming back to center, then stretching over to the other side, and then relax, just letting everything go, just feeling the spine on the back of the mat, the legs hanging heavy. We'll take the right leg in towards the chest. And this time, do small little circles with the knee, just kind of rolling out the hip a little bit. Go ahead and stretch the leg up towards the ceiling, maybe grabbing the back of the calf, the back of the thigh, just stretching out the hamstring, again, pointing and flexing through the foot. This can also be so nice to move the circulation around, especially when we're on a plane, we're sitting in a car, our feet are below us. And so this gives time for the blood to recirculate, pulling the leg in towards the chest a little bit. It doesn't have to be your deepest hamstring stretch. Again, just bringing movement into the body. And then we'll slowly lower the right leg down and hug the left leg in towards the chest. Small little circles with the knee, bringing some movement back into the hips. And then we'll go ahead and stretch the leg long towards the ceiling. Take a moment to point and flex through the foot. Round out the ankle, and then grab the back of the calf, the back of the thigh, and pull it in towards the chest. Again, doesn't need to be your deepest hamstring stretch. We're really just bringing our legs up over our head, allowing the blood to circulate through the body. Nice deep breaths here. And then slowly lower the left leg down to the earth. One more time, arms up overhead. We're going to take that stretch like it's the first stretch of the morning. Really stretching all the way through the legs, engaging the muscles, lifting the spine off the mat. And then relax and hug both knees in towards the chest. Apologies if you hear my dogs barking in the background. They're clearly outside and excited about something. We'll slowly drop the knees over towards the left side, opening the arms wide to a T, If you don't have a ton of space next to you, you can also cactus the arms. If you'd like a little bit more sensation, you can place your hand on top of the knees to coax them down towards the floor. The goal here is really to keep the shoulder blades against the mat, so we're feeling this nice deep twist through the spine. Notice your breath and the twist. We'll bring our knees back through center and then drop them over towards the right. Again, arms out like a T or in a cactus shape. And you can bring the hand on top of the knees to coax them down towards the earth, trying to keep the shoulder blades against the mat. Noticing your breath. Bringing some movement back into the spine. Coming back through center, hugging the knees in towards the chest. We'll grab the backs of the thighs or the tops of the knees and rock and roll a few times up to a seated position. Just feeling how the mat is hitting each vertebrae, crossing at the legs, and coming into all fours, our tabletop position. We want our shoulders right over our wrists and our hips right over the knees. We'll do a couple cat-cows, taking an inhale, dropping the belly, shining the heart forward, and then exhale, round through the spine, chin to chest. 2 more times, bringing your movement to match the breath. So as soon as you start to exhale, you round through the spine. And then as soon as the inhale comes into the body, begin to arch the spine, shining the heart forward. We'll meet in our neutral spine, tuck the toes, and make your way back to your first downward facing dog for this practice. Take a moment to really pedal out the feet here, stretching through the calf muscle, the hamstrings, maybe even shifting your hips from side to side. Now coming back through center, you'll take a deep bend in your knees, really lengthening through the spine. So feeling like you're shooting your hips towards the back top corner of the room. And then if there's space here, you can go ahead and straighten through the legs. And then just pause here, taking 3 breaths. Releasing through the neck muscles, maybe shaking your head side to side, yes and no. We'll inhale to rise to the balls of the feet. And then exhale, root the heels down towards the mat. One more time, inhale to the balls of the feet. And then as you exhale, you'll slowly step to the top of your mat, your feet meeting your hands, coming into a forward fold. We'll hang here for a moment, so you may want to heel toe your feet a little bit wider, bringing a bend into the knees. Releasing through the low back. We'll take an inhale, waving the spine up, half lift. And then exhale, bend the knees deeply, waving the spine up vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming to stand, inhale, the arms up overhead. And then exhale, hinge at your hips, fold over your legs. We'll inhale, wave the spine up, half lift. And then exhale, plant your hands, stepping back to your downward facing dog. Coming back to your breath. We'll inhale the right leg up and back, three-legged down dog. And then as you exhale, silently step your foot between your hands, lower your back knee, untuck the back toe, and inhale the arms up for your low crescent lunge. Now here, especially if you've been traveling, my hips get really tight if I'm just sitting still for a lot of hours. So you may want to come out of this a little bit and then really feel this tuck of the tailbone and then come back into it if there's space. So really bring the stretch into the front of the hip flexor and the front of the quad, and that's going to help protect the low back. Take another inhale. And then exhale the arms out wide to the side, lifting the heart. We're going to clasp the hands at the low back, extending through the arms and the heart, taking a big breath here. As you exhale, slowly frame your front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and step back to downward facing dog. We'll take an inhale, lifting the left foot up for three-legged down dog. And then exhale, quietly step your foot between your hands, lower the back knee, untuck the back toe, and inhale the arms up for your low crescent lunge. Again, pausing here, maybe even bringing the hands down to the hips. Coming out of this a little bit, tucking the tailbone under so we have a nice long spine and lots of space in the low back. And then if there's space, you're going to feel this a lot more in the quad and the hip flexor when you do this. So if there's space, you can come a little bit deeper. And maybe you don't go as deep as before, but that's okay as long as we're feeling that stretch in the front of the leg. Take an inhale to raise the arms. Exhale, the arms come out wide to the side, shining the heart up towards the ceiling, clasping the hands at the low back. We take an inhale to lengthen through the arms, heart shining up towards the sky. Take an exhale, inhale, and then exhale, release the hands, framing the front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and step back to downward facing dog. We'll inhale the right leg up and back, three-legged down dog. And then exhale, quietly step the foot between the hands, keeping the back knee lifted. We'll inhale up for our high crescent lunge. And then exhale, open it up to warrior two. Just landing here for a moment, feeling rooted through both of the legs. Trying to stack the front knee on top of the front ankle. We'll take an inhale to reverse your warrior, feeling this side stretch all along the side body. And then exhale back to warrior two. Straighten through the front leg. We're coming into triangle pose, cutting the right hip underneath of the left hip, reaching as far forward as possible. And then lower the hand down, either onto the mat, the shin, a block. Really opening up the heart here. So this is, it'll feel a little bit like a twist, but really a heart opener. And this also feels really good in the hips, maybe even the inner leg. Letting the neck go. So you can look down towards the floor or up towards the ceiling. Up to you. We'll come back to our warrior two. And then windmill the hands down, framing the front foot, stepping back to downward facing dog. We'll inhale the left leg up and back, three-legged down dog. And then exhale, quietly step the left foot between the hands. We inhale up for our high crescent lunge. And then exhale, open it up to warrior two. Pausing here just for a moment to feel rooted through the legs. Relax the shoulders. We inhale to reverse our warrior, enjoying this nice side body stretch. And then exhale back to warrior two. Straighten through the front leg, coming into our triangle pose. So really be slow here, reaching forward as far as you can. And then we drop the hand down, lifting the right arm up towards the sky. You can bring your gaze up towards the right hand or look down towards the mat. Notice your breath here. Strong through both legs. We'll inhale back to our warrior two. And then exhale, windmill the hands down, framing the front foot, stepping back to downward facing dog. We're going to come down onto our knees, finding your child's pose here. The knees can be together or they can be about as wide as the mat. Taking a few breaths. Slowly walk your hands over towards the left side of the mat. Your left hand may come off of the mat, and then for an even deeper stretch, you can stack the right hand on top. And then really feel like both sit bones are still rooted down towards the heels. That's going to bring this stretch all the way down through the side, through the rib cage, and into the hip. We'll slowly come back towards center and then over towards the right side. Again, the hands can be at the edge of the mat or just off the mat. And then for a little bit more sensation, you can stack the left hand on top of the right. Really feeling rooted through the sit bones. Breathing. As you take an inhale, feel the expansion in the rib cage, bringing a little bit of a deeper stretch to the side. And then as you exhale, see if you can relax into this pose a little more. Come back through center and then slowly walk your hands up towards your legs. We're going to come into a wide leg straddle, sitting on the ground. If your hips are feeling extra tight, you may want to sit onto a block or even on a pillow or rolled up blanket, something like that to really prop your hips up. So take a moment to land here. You can flex or point through the feet. I like to flex my feet. It gives me something to reach for on my toes. But first, we're going to make sure we're sitting up nice and tall. So finding a lot of length in the spine. If you feel like you're rounding through the spine, that's where I'd recommend sitting up on something so you're really on your hip bones. We'll take a big inhale here. And then as you exhale, slowly begin to fold in between the legs, maybe grabbing towards the toes. You can grab the shins, the ankles. And when you hit the spot where you can't go forward any longer without bending through the spine, you know you've hit your edge, and then you'll round, bringing the head forward. Again, I like taking these big stretches, especially after traveling, just taking up some space, really stretching through the hips, the back of the legs. We'll slowly begin to come back up. And then we'll come into our final pose for practice. So this will be Shavasana. So for your Shavasana, you may want to just take a traditional corpse pose. Maybe you also want to come into a shoulder stand if that's in your practice, or what I recommend, we're going to get our feet above our head again, and that's to actually come up to a wall. And so that's what I'm going to take for this Shavasana as well. So I'll take this with you, but the option is yours, however you want to lay down and get comfortable in Shavasana. When I put my feet up against the wall, I come to the wall with my hip against it, and then slowly just turn. You might need to shift your hips a little bit closer, but placing the legs up the wall, arms are still relaxed to the side with the palms up towards the ceiling. You can close your eyes and just notice how the body feels. Even after a short stretch, we feel a little less crunched up. We feel like we're open, like we can take more space. And whether you're traveling to a new place or you're arriving back home, this is a great way to reconnect the mind and the body and get present to this moment. Slowly bring some movement back into the fingers and the toes. And if your feet are up against the wall, you'll slowly bring them down to the side, maybe just coming into a fetal position right there near the wall. Pausing here to take an inhale. Really fill the back of the heart, the back of the lungs. And then as you exhale, you'll come up to your seated position. Bring your hands to heart center. The light in me honors and acknowledges the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice. I hope this is a video that you can come back to anytime you're traveling or anytime you just feel like you really need a break in your body and you need to stretch out nice and big. I post new videos every Sunday, so please subscribe so you don't miss any new classes. And then if you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment below, and I hope to see you here next week. Thank you.